Hello everyone, and welcome to this video where we're going to complete Project 1 together for CIS 115. My name's Ken Clifton. I'm your instructor for the class, and let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over where I can share my desktop. And so you can see now that I am in Blackboard on the announcements page where you land when you first click into the class in Blackboard. So I'm going to scroll down until I get to the checklist for Module 1 and Week 1. You can see here that one of the assignments in this particular week is to complete Project 1 right here. Number 4 on the checklist says to complete Project 1. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the folder for Module 1. You click Course Content. Once you're in Course Content, scroll down until you get to Module 1. Click into Module 1. Scroll down in Module 1 until you get to the Module 1 assignments and exam. So I'm going to click into there. So now I'm in Module 1 assignments and exam, and I'm going to open up the folder for Project 1. So here are the instructions for completing Project 1, and every project in the class has these required readings at the top. As you can see, in order to accomplish Project 1, you have to know how to use the print function in Python. Well, how do we find out about that? Well, click on the print function hyperlink, and you can see this is a lecture that tells you all about how to use the print function in Python. The next thing you need to know is the material in the textbook, where it talks about how to use the print function. Next, this linked material on Wikipedia talks about ASCII Art. ASCII Art is simply using the letters and characters and symbols on the keyboard to make artwork. So I'm going to click into that folder so you can see right here is the ASCII material. Excuse me, I clicked into the ASCII character set material, and this tells you what ASCII stands for. Stands for the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Okay, basically that's the number values that are assigned to each character on our keyboard. So there is another site that if you want to look at those numbers, and we'll be touching on those more later in the class. If you go to www.ASCII-chart.com, you can see here's a easier to read version of the ASCII chart. And basically every character in the alphabet that the computer works with has a numeric value assigned to it. So you can see that a capital A has a numeric value of 65. A little a has a numeric value of 97. So just a little bit about what ASCII is. Okay, now I'm going to click into the link here in the readings about what ASCII Art is, and this is on the Wikipedia website. So here you can see some ASCII art where someone did a picture of looks like the moon or the Wikipedia logo. They did this all with just characters on the keyboard. Here's some more ASCII art. Okay, and scrolling on down, you'll see all kinds of things that people did. Here's a kitty cat that someone did with ASCII art. You can see that they made the cat's ears using the vertical pipe symbol, which is above the backslash key on your keyboard. This is a backslash for this other part of the ear. Then they did an underscore. Then they did a forward slash and another vertical pipe. And that was one line of the art that was done to make the ears of the kitty cat. So what we're going to be doing in project 1 is to use some ASCII art to make a triangle. So you can read more about ASCII art, and feel free as you're doing project 1 to embellish the triangle. You can certainly go above and beyond. Don't feel like it has to look exactly like this right here where I'm pointing with the mouse. Okay, you can make it bigger. You can make it more interesting. The whole point of this project is to get you familiar with how to use Tani to write a program, how to use the print function, and how to run a Python program. So those are really our only goals with this project, is to get you familiar with how to do things. So here's some code for ASCII art to do a square. So I'm going to just drag across this, right click, copy it to my clipboard, and then I'm going to start the Tani program up that you should have installed as part of the task in week 1 of our class. So I'm clicking on Tani, and I'm going to start a new project here. You notice this top window is empty. I'm going to paste that code that I copied from project 1's demo of how to make a square with ASCII art. I just pasted that into the top window in Tani. You remember from the week 1 lecture, the top window in Tani is where we type our computer code in. Our Python code gets typed into this window. When we run the program, what runs comes out in the bottom window. So just so we can see this work again, I know we did one program already to print hello world. Let's go ahead and run this code that I've pasted in from Blackboard. So I'm going to click on the green circle or green sphere with the white arrow in it that says run the current script when I mouse over it. So I'm going to click that. You'll notice the first thing Tani does is it asks me, where do you want to save this? So you've got to save this code before you can run it. You've got to give it a name too. So just demonstrating things here in project 1's video, I'll just call this demo underscore square dot py. All your Python programs have to have a .py on the end of them. That is the file extension. They won't work right unless you put a .py on the end of the program name. So I've got this named demo underscore square .py. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. You notice it's going to save it in my CIS-115 online underscore week 1 folder. So going to OK it. You notice that when I OK'd it, Tani ran that, and here's our square that printed out in the bottom window. Remember, when you run your program, what your program does comes out in the bottom window here. The code that we write as a programmer, the code that we write to make this program work, goes in the top window here. Okay? So now that you've seen that we can do some ASCII art, we did this little demonstration here, and here's how it looked when we were in Tani. There's what came out down below. Let's get started with project 1 now. So first thing, program organization. It says create a project 1 folder somewhere on your flash drive or your computer. Inside that folder, save a Python program named text shape dash and then your last name. Now, my last name is Clifton, so my project 1 is going to be named text shape dash Clifton.py. Notice the instruction here that says use your real last name. So if your last name is Smith, your program should be named text shape dash Smith.py. Okay? So let's do it. I'm going to go back to my folder. Right here's my folder. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to name it Project 1. You should know how to do the creation of a folder on your computer from taking CSC-120, Introduction to Computers. A lot of you may have tested out of that, and that's fine. If you tested out of it, you know how to create a folder too. So I'm creating a new folder named Project 1. There's my folder. So now I'm going to create a blank program with Tawny. Okay, right here's my demo square program. I'm going to click the little new button that's a blank sheet of paper there just to the left of the printer button. So I'm going to click on that. You see I got a new tab that doesn't have anything in it right now. This new tab here doesn't have anything in it. The instructions here in program organization say to name that program text shape dash your last name.py. Remember to use your last name, whatever that is. So I'm on this empty tab. I don't have anything in this program. I'm going to go up to File, come down to Save As. I'm going to create a new folder here. I'll call it Project 1. Okay, now I have a Project 1 folder. I'm going to name this program text shape dash Clifton. Remember to name yours with your last name, and then .py. That's the extension for Python programs, .py. So I'm going to OK it. So now I've got this text shape. You see this tab. I can go ahead and close the one for my square. Down here where I ran the square, I can right click in that window and say clear, and that clears that window out. Remember, we type our program into the top window here. Okay, everybody always asks me, I don't know how to get started with Project 1. And I say, did you look at the getting started part of the instructions? So I'm telling you here in the video, the getting started tells you what to do. So first thing it wants you to do here is to go ahead and add this print statement to your Python code that has print a text triangle by your first and last name. So my first and last name is Ken Clifton. So I'm going to copy this code. I right-clicked after dragging across it, copied it to the clipboard. I'm going to switch back to my Tawny program here. Here's the empty window that we created with the text shape dash your last name.py in it. I'm going to right-click and paste that code in. Now, inside these quotes right here, where I'm highlighting, is what's going to get printed. So ours needs to say a text triangle by my first name is Ken, my last name is Clifton. Okay? So there's our first line of Project 1 that we have written. Now there will be some stuff up above this when we're finished. As you're writing this program, I encourage you to go ahead and run it each time, because if it doesn't run, if it gives you a traceback error, then you've got something that you need to fix. And what you need to fix is the last thing that you did if you're running it one step at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and run it just so you can see, and you can see it prints out down below a text triangle by Ken Clifton. So mine ran fine. If you mess something up, let's say you forget to put that ending quote. Remember, we have a double quote to start. We need to have a double quote to finish. If you forget to put that ending double quote in there and you try to run the program, you can see it's given me a traceback error, and it has underlined in blue the line number in the program where it thinks the problem is. And if you look here in red, it also shows that a little caret symbol where it thinks the problem is. So Tawny has given me a lot of information about what I need to fix here with this error. So I'm going to click the blue underline, which is a link. I'm going to click that. You see it took me up to the top, the line where the problem is. I'm going to click where I need to put the quote in, and I'm going to put the quote back in there. You can see that Tawny now has changed this to green text, and that should be okay now to run. So if you don't want to see this error down here in the bottom window, remember I told you in the shell window to clear that. You can right click and say clear. Okay. Now just to test this out again, you can see I ran it. Everything's fine. So I'll right click and clear it out. Okay, back to the instructions again. Okay, it's telling us here that after you're finished with doing the steps down here in this section that says stepwise refinement, after you're doing those steps, your program should print a triangle out that looks like this. Okay? Now remember, if you didn't put that line in the program that prints a text triangle by your first and last name, then you'll have 10 points taken off of your project. Okay? So, also, remember this. Your program should print a triangle that looks similar to this. If you want to make it a nicer triangle, or a two triangles, or whatever, with ASCII Art, using the letters on the keyboard, feel free to do that and make a more beautiful triangle. Okay? So, now that we know what our output of our program is supposed to look like, what I have highlighted here, okay, let's go down and start following the instructions. Stepwise refinement is the step-by-step instructions to complete this program. So, first thing it says to do is implement the program as suggested in the Getting Started section. We've already done that. We have saved the program in a Project 1 folder. We've already put the line in there to print our first and last name. So, it says right here, the program must include a set of comments. Comments in Python begin with the pound sign. Some of you may refer to that as the hashtag sign. It's actually called a pound sign. But when you put a hashtag or a pound sign in a Python program, Python ignores that line in your program. It does nothing with it. Comments are in programs for the programmers. They are notes that we leave to ourselves, maybe to explain what some code is doing. Every program, you hear me say that, right? Every program that you write for all 14 weeks in this class must have some comments at the top that at a minimum have your name, the date, the actual date, not this date that says 17, but the actual date that you wrote the project, the assignment name, and a description of what that assignment does. every project. If you forget and leave these comments out, they need to be at the top of your project in the code. If you forget and leave these comments out, you will lose 10 points. So, since these are already here for me, I'll go ahead and drag across those, right-click, copy. I'm going to paste those comments into the top of my program. Remember, they need to be at the top. So I'm going to click just to the left of the P in print. I'm going to hit the Enter key. You notice that opened up a line for me up above. Now I've got an empty line up above the print statement. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste. Now you can see the comments are now the very top thing in my project. We need to change some things if you don't want to lose points. This needs to have your first and last name, and it needs to have the current date. This just happens to be when I'm doing this video, January 26th, 2021. Okay? Everything else here, the assignment and the description, all that looks fine, so we're good to go with that. So I'm going to scroll back over to the left. Okay, so we've done the first bullet point. It says modify the text shape Python program so that it utilizes several print statements using the characters, the /, the \, to make the triangle shape. It also has here something important. A / character in Python means something special. It means something special in a lot of languages, not just Python. But if you want to print a /, notice what it says here. You have to have 2 backslashes right next to each other. So we can go ahead and start this writing this code for this program. Okay, up above this should be the last thing that your program does, is prints this, and most of your projects will have this where you print the name of the project by your first and last name. So I've opened up some lines up above that in between my comments and my print, and I'm going to add a print in here. I want to just print an empty line, so if you do a print with 2 parentheses like that, one going to the right and one going to the left, then that will give us a blank line in our project. So let me go back and put those in. Okay. So next I'm going to do a print, and this is going to be the top line of my triangle, the top of my triangle. So I'm going to do a double quote, a /, and I need to print a backslash, right, like that. It's up above the Enter key. But remember, in order to print a backslash, remember from the instructions, what did it say? If you want to do a backslash, you have to do 2 backslashes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 2 backslashes. And then I've got to end my print string here with another quote, another double quote. So now I've got to close the parentheses, and there we go. So let's try this code out and see how it looks. Remember, I told you to run it as you go. So this is what I've got written so far. I've got my comments at the top. I'm printing a blank line, and then I'm printing the top of my triangle. And then at the end of the program, it's going to print this message that says a text triangle by Ken Clifton. So I'm going to try to run it. You can see this is what I got out down below. I got my top of my triangle, and I've got the message here. So next we need a line in here to print the bottom of the triangle. I'll add another print. We know it's going to have the parentheses like that. We know we're going to have some quotes. Okay, so you start with a quote. You've got to end with a quote here. Okay. Next, I'm going to put a forward slash, and I'm going to, I need a couple blank or underscore characters here to do the bottom of my triangle. So I did 2 underscores. I did those by holding down the shift key and then hitting the dash on the top row of keys there where the numbers are, just to the left of the plus and the equal. So I hit that twice, and then I want another backslash in here, so I'm going to hit the backslash key twice. Remember, in order to print a backslash, you have to do 2 of them. And then I'm going to come over and get my quote in here. Okay, so let's go with this and see what happens. Let's run it. There's what I've got coming out. Not too nice of a triangle look there, is it? I need to space over the top of my triangle. I'm going to hit the space bar once. Okay, so now I've got that kicked over a little bit. I can clear this bottom window out, and I'm going to try running my program again. And there is my text triangle. Here's my triangle, and there's my message. Now, I kind of like to see a little space in between that last, so I'm going to put an extra line in there. So when you add this print statement here with nothing in the parentheses, remember that just kicks us down a little bit. So I've added that extra print. I'll go ahead and run this. You can see this is what comes out of my program now. So we're done with project 1. That wasn't too bad, was it? So we've got this saved already because we ran it, but so there's no reason for me to save it again. If you've ran it, Tani automatically saves it. So let's go ahead and submit this project. Remember, it's got the it's got the comments at the top. It's printing the triangle. It's printing the message at the end with my first and last name. The comments have my name, the date, and what it's doing. The project is named correctly. It's textshape-clifton.py. Yours would be whatever your last name is. So I'm ready to send this up to Blackboard where your instructor can grade it. So I'm going to click back into Blackboard. I'm still inside the Project 1 folder. Up at the top of that folder for Project 1, you can see where all the instructions are. Project 1 is underlined. That is the link that we click on to submit our project. So I'm going to click on that link. You'll notice that it opens up a page on Blackboard that says Preview Upload Assignment Project 1. You need to scroll down. You've got a ways to scroll because it's all the way at the bottom. Scroll down, keep scrolling until you get to this section that says Assignment Submission. You'll notice that there's some dashes here. If you're a drag and drop type person, you can drag and drop your project file inside these dashes, and that will attach it to Project 1. If you're a button clicking type person, you can click the Browse My Computer button and browse for your project. I'm going to go ahead and just do the drag and drop. So right here, I'm going to click on my desktop. I'm going to find my folder for this class. Let's see if I can find it here. CIS-115 online. There's my Project 1 folder that we created following the instructions for the project. When I click inside that, you can see here that I have my Python program that I just wrote. It's got the time and everything on it. Okay, so I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to click on text shape dash Clifton or whatever it's named with your last name. I'm going to hold down my left mouse button, so I've got the left mouse button continuing to hold it down. I'm going to drag this thing over to inside the dashes here in the Project 1 submission folder. You notice how it's got a plus mark on my mouse? When I let go of my left mouse button, notice what it did? It's now showing attached files textshape-clifton.py. That's now attached to my project. The only step left to do for you to hand this project in is to click the blue submit button down at the bottom. Make sure you don't hit save draft. If you hit save draft, it never comes to me. Make sure that you hit the submit button, the blue submit button down at the bottom where I'm mousing. So I'm going to submit it, and it's going to give me a message because I'm an instructor. I can't submit this assignment, but yours will go ahead and tell you it's submitted. So once you've submitted Project 1, you're done with Project 1. Remember, there are Projects 2 and 3 to do in this folder for Module 1. So make sure that you go back to Course Content, scroll down into Module 1, scroll down into the Module 1 Assignments and Exam, and since we finished Project 1, you can click into Project 2, and there will be a video for you to watch to do Project 2. So get started with Project 2 after watching the videos on Turtle Graphics and reading the Turtle Graphics material. So this is the end of the Project 1 video. Good luck!